Question number 13 is a very popular type of question for systems of equations. As far as various textbooks use things like this. Lots of state testing questions have been designed like this. It's a very popular way of setting up a system of equations questions. For this one, they're talking about two different people, Matt and Jeff, and they're talking about two different scenarios, 10 years from now and 5 years ago. Most people do start this off by saying that we'll use M for Matt and J for Jeff. The thing that a lot of people do not think about, though, is that if I'm going to talk about 10 years from now, I have Matt plus 10, and I have Jeff plus 10. 5 years ago, I have Matt minus 5, and I have Jeff minus 5. And what a lot of people are forgetting here is that when you say that Matt is M, you're talking about Matt right now, today. The variable M represents how old he is right now. And then you add 10 to that or take 5 away from that, depending on the scenario. A lot of people also do not realize you will need to use parentheses here. So, let me take you through the process of creating these equations based on the information that's here. So we'll say M is Matt, J is Jeff. Scenario number 1, 10 years from now. So, 10 years from now, Matt, and 10 years from now, Jeff. And these are comparisons. We are comparing things, right? So we're going to put an equal in between and say 10 years from now, Jeff. The second scenario, Matt 5 years from now, Jeff 5 years from now. Without doing anything else to these equations, here's what I have written. I've said Matt, his age right now, plus 10. Would you agree that that's what his age 10 years from now would be? It's his current age plus 10, right? Same thing for Jeff. It's his current age plus 10. That's Jeff 10 years from now. The equation right now is saying that in 10 years, Matt is the same age as Jeff. And that's not what they told us. They told us that 10 years from now, Matt should be twice as old as Jeff. Here's where you need to be very careful. Matt 10 years from now will be twice as old as Jeff 10 years from now. Which means I need to take this and treat it as one thing. This, all this stuff in parentheses, this is Jeff 10 years from now as one thing. Jeff 10 years from now. Matt 10 years from now will be twice as old as Jeff 10 years from now. What a lot of people do is they leave the parentheses out, and I want to explain what that would actually mean. So this is not correct. If I did M plus 10, I said 2J plus 10. These two things do not mean the same thing. This one up here means Matt 10 years from now will be exactly twice as old as Jeff is now, plus another 10 years. So the parentheses do make a big difference. We're going to do the same thing with 5 years ago. Here's Jeff 5 years ago. Matt 5 years ago will be 3 times as old as Jeff was 5 years ago. From here, we just need to distribute. So I end up with M plus 10 equals 2J plus 20. M minus 5 equals 3J minus 15. My suggestion for this one is elimination method. If we move J to the left and the constants to the right, I'll get M minus 2J equals 10. And I'll get M minus 3J equals negative 10. This is already very well set up for elimination methods. So now we'll set it up. We'll subtract. M minus M is 0. Negative 2 minus negative 3 gives me a positive 1J. 10 minus negative 10 is 20. Jeff's 20 right now, today. Plug that in to get that Matt is 50.